Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you and your loved ones are doing okay. And most importantly, I hope that you and your loved ones are in good health. Once again, my friends, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we talk about here on the Common Sense channel. So, once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. For today's topic, I want to focus on something called freedom. You know, we hear a lot about freedom when people are excited, when people want to express themselves, when people are in the spirit of peace, unity, understanding, about what's happening in the world, happening around them. They often talk about freedom, especially when people are in crisis, when people feel like their rights has been taken away, or they no longer have rights to express themselves, to think in ways that they want to think, to or they feel some restraint, or they feel that they've been restricted, or they feel like something is pressing them, something is oppressing them, or they no longer experience the same kind of uh, uh, thinking or reaction or behavior to certain things that they once engaged with, then the idea of freedom often comes in. So today I want to talk about freedom. And the definition of freedom is the power to act, to think, to speak, to do things in ways that you want to without restraint or hindrance. And sometimes people that live in society where freedom is the number one priority, or the one that people often talk about or emphasize on or reinforce. For instance, like in this country where you hear freedom, freedom, freedom all the time, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So freedom is like everywhere. And from the moment you're born, the moment you come into this world, especially in this country, you have these rights. And it's something that the founding father enshrined in the Constitution, that these rights are just there. They are yours, and no one can infringe on them, you know. But then sometimes things happen in society, and and the rights that you've known is now put to test. And now you start to think about the same very right that you're guaranteed. You start to think about them in ways that is contrary to what you've been told, you know. So for me, as a free thinker, independent minded person, I look at all these things and say, these things they're not guaranteed by the Almighty. It's not like the Almighty came from wherever the Almighty is and put a stamp on these rights. In as much as we all know, we are born We're all born with inherent rights, and that rights are inherent because we're born with them. And because we're born with them, no one can take them away from us. But no one can take away them from us except the Almighty Creator. But because we live in the physical world, these rights must be guaranteed by men, human beings, my friends. They must be guaranteed by human beings. And not only that, they, my friends, must be protected by human beings. And because they are guaranteed and protected by human beings, they, my friends, can be unprotected and unguaranteed by human beings. They can be abused by human beings. And you see, so when you look at the world, you must look at things for what they are. Because I know people that would unlife themselves, thinking that these rights are, like they say, is a God-given right. I agree, it's a God-given right. Just like you have the right to a land of your own. You know, you have a right to water. You have a right to air. That's your freedom, your right to these things. But when you think about these things, in as much as they are your inherent right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that would be land, that would be air, that would be water, that would be food. You understand? You have rights to all of these things which are embedded in freedom. But you, in as much as you're born with these rights, and these rights are given to you by the Almighty, the Creator, human beings must all also supervise them. And that's where the problem comes. I'm talking about freedom today because freedom comes in so many ways. And I think, like I done the video on state of mind. And I think freedom is a state of mind. And the reason why I think freedom is a state of mind is because you can be free and don't even know you're free. Yeah. You can be emancipated and don't know you're emancipated. You know? So it's a state of mind, because I know people who live in countries where their freedom of speech, their freedom of assembly, their freedom to do certain things are restricted. And because of these restrictions, it's almost as if they are locked up in a box, and their true self wants to come out. But that self cannot come out because of all of these restrictions, even though they know that these rights that are dear to them are given to them by the Creator, and that those rights cannot be taken from them by anyone. But we are living in a physical world, and we have institutions, and these institutions are in place by man. Man institute these things, these institutions to control, to direct the behavior of human beings. And your freedom is a form of behavior too. But freedom of the mind, in my own view, is the most powerful too. Because once you know you're free in your mind, you know you can express yourself without fear or favor. You know you can say things that are dear to you without looking behind your back to see who is at you. That's the kind of freedom that I think each of us must work towards. And no one can give you that freedom. The freedom of a mind, of your mind, the freedom of you to think that you are inherently given the right to think about those things that are inherently yours. I'm keep using the word inherently yours because no one, your rights is not given by man. But again, it's a fine statement. You know what I mean? Like everything in theory is beautiful. You know, theory is a beautiful concept, you know, but the right to exist, the right to live, the right to be happy, the right to assemble, the right to freedom of speech, the right to exist as a human being, the right to water, the right to air, the right to food, the right to land, the right to everything that makes you an existing human being. Those rights, they are inherently yours. The Almighty has given you that right. Imagine the time in our world when we never had government. Human beings were just meandering, moving from one place to another. And they could go wherever. No one would draw a line and say, this is my land. You know, they can live there for as much as they want and move to another land or move to another place. They can eat whatever they want to eat. They can drink whatever they want to drink. They can farm wherever they want to farm. They can do whatever they want to do. There's a time in human history when we live like that. And that's the intention of the Almighty, for us to live on this world, in this world, without having any restriction to anything, especially those things that actually make us to exist, make us to live as human beings. And this is the inherent right to freedom that I'm talking about on this video. I don't think we're ever going to go back to that. But once you have a state of mind of these things, these inherent, God-given, in the Constitution it says, inalienable rights. Inalienable rights. Once you have this mindset, it's more powerful than the atomic bomb. Because what it does is allows you, even if you're going to your death, you know you're on the right side of history. Because you understand the reason why you're giving your life for. And that's the power that each of us must have. That inherent right to all of the things that are the elements of freedom. The right to think freely. The right to act freely. You understand? The right to do things without restraint or hindrance or consequences. Personally, because what I'm saying here is, I'm not saying because you have freedom, you should infringe on other people's rights. Your freedom should be personal. Now, when other people are infringing on your freedom, then that becomes a problem. But if no one is infringing on your freedom, you should not infringe on other people's freedom. You understand? And that's your right, and that's their right. Each of us are born with these rights, and these rights are given to us not by man. Even though man is going to control our behavior and the way we do things, the way we think, the way we walk, the way we talk, our engagement, every aspect of our lives, which was not the intention of the Almighty for us to live on this planet. Because if you look at human history from the beginning, human has always been free until institutions and government start to establish on earth. And now we have all these restrictions. I don't think it's going to get better. The more human being evolves and the more we establish in terms of institution, in terms of control, in terms of how human behavior are control, or how human behavior are moderated, how human behavior are I don't know how to say it, but like molded in society, then the more of our freedom will be reduced, or a little bit restricted. Yeah. So when you think of freedom, the more established society is, the more advanced society is, the more freedom start to erode. And it's true. The more technological society becomes too, freedom will start to erode. There'll be restrictions. You don't know these things, but there are people that are sitting there just thinking how to screw you, how to cut back some of those freedoms. And if you ask me, I would tell you, too much of freedom is not good. But freedom in and of itself is good, because you see that in your own family. You have children. You don't want to, and I like to say this. If you want to understand, this is from the Common Sense channel now. If you want to understand human existence, if you want to understand how society is formed, I advocate this a lot on my channel. Everything that we see on this planet, good or bad or good, starts in the home. For this reason, I think the beginning of everything, including human beings, starts in the home. And I think that's your genesis. So if the home is good, society is good. Whatever comes out of the home, if whatever comes out of that home is well brought up, is well conditioned, is well molded, you understand, is well taught, society will see the effect. You understand? So if you have your children, you teach them a mindset that's predicated or based on freedom, not just physical freedom, but mental freedom. Even if you're poor, you don't have to be rich to have a strong sense of mental freedom, because that's the thing that will make you exist when you're out there in the world. Most people, humans, are not born with inherent wealth. We're not born with wealth. We didn't come into this world, none of that stuff. But we come into this world and meet people that have them existing already. You understand? So freedom is a state of mind, the way you think. Even if you're poor, if you have a strong sense of freedom, a strong sense of freedom will be a mindset that encompasses all of the elements of freedom. You can be richer than the person that has all the money and wealth and don't think the way you think. So in as much as we want to feel that freedom is a God-given, they say God, but I don't like to say God on my channel. I like to say the Creator. In as much as we want to feel that these rights are given to us by the Creator, which is true, you understand? But we're not governed by the Creator. We are governed by the affairs of men. You understand? So, in as much as the Creator has given us these rights, like the beginning of the human species, human didn't have to fight over land. They could move from whatever place they want to go. No one is going to stop them. They can eat whatever animal they want to eat. They can drink whatever they want to drink. They can breathe whatever air they want to breathe. If they're tired of living in Africa, they can move to Asia. If they're tired of living in Asia, they can move to Europe. No, there's no restriction on them. That, my friend, was the intention or is the intentions of the Almighty. The establishment of institutions, governments, controlling institution kind of curtail some of these freedom that the early human beings had experienced. So the reason why I'm doing this is to tell you that all of these things are being said about freedom, but in reality, it's not what it is. But if you have a state of mind that exists beyond what society is offering, then you start to understand that that right is only you that can control that right, and it has to be in your head. And because once it's one is based mentally, no one can take it away from you. Even if someone's tried to restrict it, you'd be like, I will have to leave this world. But I'm not going to leave this world cowering to you, because I know these rights belongs to me. That's the spirit of the United States. And there are a couple of countries in the world that are like that. Once you have a spirit of that, you know it's death, liberty, or liberty. You see, just like they say, give me death or give me liberty. Either one of them, I want liberty. But if I can't get liberty, give me death. That's a strong and profound statement. Whoever must have come up with that statement understood what I'm talking about. But it's a state of mind where you think that I know this. I know these rights, my freedom, are based on these rights. And these rights are inherent right. No one has given this right to me, or no one can guarantee these rights to me but a creator. But in as much as I believe that the creator has guaranteed these rights to me, I also know that man runs the affairs of this world. And because man runs the affairs of this world, and men are corrupt, are corruptible, then these rights, I must hold them dear, even at the point of death. So like I've always told my friends, freedom is not free. It comes with price. In order for you to be free, you have to, mentally, it could be physically too. In order for you to get these freedoms, sometimes, most times, in some situations, in some settings, in some events, you have to fight for them. I'm a lover of history. I always say this. I've never seen a country that gained independence, true independence, without fighting for it, and that without sharing blood and treasure for it. So, my friend, in short, freedom is not free. It comes with price. It comes with restriction. It comes with guidelines. It comes with boundaries. And it comes with rules. And there's time when you would see that someone is messing with your freedom, which is your God-given right. So you have to choose life or death. And that's what the founding fathers, someone coined the term, give me life or give me liberty. Give me death or give me liberty. Either one. And those who understand the mindset or the intricacy or what freedom is, they say, give me liberty. Liberty is the same as freedom, because all of the elements in there are what makes freedom very important. And freedom does not come free. It comes with a price. So I just wanted to do this video today, because sometimes you have to look at things that people are not looking at and just talk about them. And that's what I do. I like to talk about these things. Like, they are very important though. You know, you wouldn't know until you're put in that situation, and then you have to fight for it. But freedom, it gives you a sense of a self, a sense of belonging, a sense of ability. It gives you creativity. It gives you stability. It allows you to think. It allows you to be creative in the mind when you're free. It's a form of stability. It is a stability when you have freedom. Not too much of freedom. I'm not going to say too much of freedom is good, but it's good to be free, because too much of freedom can bring about instability. I like to, I'm a realist, so I see the world in a realistic. Not saying society is too free, and you have all these things happening, and then I've seen society where the people within the community understand that too much of freedom is not good. Even in your own home, if you give your kids too much freedom, the next thing they're gonna run you over in your own family now. So you have to set some boundaries. So in as much as freedom is good, but you need some boundaries. Even the Almighty has boundaries, right? That He tells you can't cross, you know. In as much as you have these rights, this freedom, but you can't do this, that. It's called the 10 Commandments, right? So the 10 Commandments, do I say that the 10 Commandments was from God? Don't get me wrong. That's human being. That's humans. But yet the 10 Commandments is the so-called boundaries that the Creator, or God, so they call him God, him, has set for men on earth. So you in your own home, you can teach your children what freedom is, but let it be a mental process. Let them understand what freedom is mentally, not just the physical aspect of freedom, but the mental aspect of freedom. I think that's more powerful than anything, because no one can take that from you. They can take away all the others, but they can't take away the mental aspect. And there are a lot of people in our world today that are free physically, but mentally they are enslaved. They look down on themselves. They think they are nothing. And then there are people out there that see these things and they prey on that, you know. But once you have the mental aspect of your freedom intact, in place, and it all starts from your parents now, you know. And once your parents tell you that you're better, you're great, and they're your God too. They tell you that you're better, you're great, you're beautiful. You want to hear that from them. Once that is implanted in you, no one can take that away from you. So as I've always said, the greatest thing that can ever happen to anyone is not the day you're born, the day you got your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, became whatever you're working on, have your own business, none of that. The greatest thing that can happen to you, my friends, is the day you discover yourself, the self. Because that day, everything starts to make sense to you, including freedom. You know, there are people that even had songs on freedom. And freedom, they didn't say freedom, but when you can act, think about things, do things in certain way without any restriction or restraint or hindrance, that's freedom. As long as not infringing on other people's freedom. Because that's another thing. And you can teach your children that. This in school, in elementary school, that's what they do. In our entire first 7 years of a child's, 8 years, 9 years of a child's life, in our entire elementary school, that's what they're teaching the kid, how to behave among other kids. In as much as they have these rights, but they're not supposed to infringe on other people's right. They're supposed to be in their own space. Teach them their own space. You understand? If you want to say something, you have to raise your hand up and let other people know you have something to say. You can't be making noise while other people are trying to learn. That's what they're teaching the children in the elementary school. You understand? That these are boundaries you have to learn, although you're 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, but you have to know these boundaries, because in life, in as much as you have these guaranteed rights, freedom of this, freedom of that, freedom of that, freedom of this, know that there are other people within the same society or the same space that you are sharing, and you have to respect their own rights. You understand? So as I've always said, I just want to do this video and just teach, educate, inspire people to understand what these things are, so we can live in peace, harmony, and tranquility. All of us can live in this world in peace, harmony, and tranquility without hurting each other, without harming each other, without being at ease, without being at war with each other, without, treating each other in a very bad way. So again, I want to thank everyone. And by the way, I have 2 subscribers. Again, for me, it's a pleasure having you. And I just want to say this to you, my friends. On the Common Sense channel, we talk about things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss, my friends. These are the things we talk about here on the Common Sense channel. So welcome to the Common Sense channel, my friends. I'm excited to have you. And I think you're smart. I think you're a thinker. I think you are those people that see the same thing that I see. For me, it's not about the clicks and the likes. Even if I can reach one person with my ideas, because I don't think I'm the architect of my idea. I don't. I know there are people before me that share the same idea. So I cannot come here and thinking, oh, I'm the one that has, no, I don't have these ideas. There are people, millions of people, if not billions of people, that think like this too, and they're out there. And if you're out there, this is your space. Yeah, come here and be on me. Let's discuss this thing. We can talk about them. But sometimes freedom is not what they say it is. But once it's if it's mentally placed in your head, once you have that state of mind, nothing can take that away from you. And that, my friend, is the essence of this video. That freedom is not what they want you to believe, but you can make it what you want it to be. And no one can change that. Have a blessed day. Hope that you and your family are safe and enjoying this God-great given world, free for us to live, prosper, and enjoy. Thank you, and have a blessed day.